Yo, what's good everyone? So today we're going to talk about overpowered weapons. Overpowered weapons in TF2, what makes an overpowered weapon, what makes it overpowered. And while I was doing my recording, I have a little story. While I was doing my recording, I realised something came over to me. It's like, oh, I see it now, it's all clear. And all these overpowered weapons are drastically better, are all loadouts that Muselk has told people to use. If you don't know of Muselk, he's a guy that does a lot of YouTubing to do with TF2. He's pretty big. I'll be surprised if you haven't heard of him. But they use overpowered weapons that I feel the general community all despises. You like using them, but everybody hates fighting against them.
The gunslinger, backburner, lock and load. Be the Darwin's danger, the huntsman, the diamondback, the caber.
But hopefully that the competitive update that's soon coming out, well not soon, but somewhen soon is going to come out. Hopefully this will be the foreseeable end of all of them overpowered weapons. And this is because in competitive, all the main competitive games are always trying to balance weapons to make sure there isn't some defined meta. A meta being something that everybody does and you're just basically some absolute dumbass if you don't. Because, example here, the meta right now for the Demo Man is the Skull Cutter, the big axe, because it has 20% plus 20% damage and only move speed while it's out. The Sticky Bomb Launcher and the Grenade Launcher, and that's what you see almost all Demo Men using. The Scout, it'll be the Scattergun, the Pistol and the Boston Basher. That's what almost all Scouts using. The Sniper is the Razorback, the Sniper Rifle and the Cookery. These are all the weapons that everybody always uses. But this isn't so bad, because it's always nice to have a defined meta so that you can get really good at a weapon. But if everybody's of equal goodness of it, it will be bad, because it'll just be the same all the time. There's not going to be anybody going, I'm going to use a really off weapon just to surprise you and gain some advantage through that. There's not going to be as many situations as for people doing that, because it's just so drastically underpowered, that weapon. There's no point using it because they're just going to kill you anyway. And I mean drastically underpowered in comparison to the normal meta of that weapon. I don't mean drastically underpowered as in that weapon's bad. That weapon's probably good. You can specialise in a weapon. It's like I'm trying to specialise in the Force of Nature. I'm trying to get my aim perfect, trying to make that 110 meat shot that you get pretty consistently as consistent as I can. I'm trying to make every single shot count, and that's interesting to me. And by far the thing I'm most scared about is Valve randomly updating the Force of Nature to make it better, to make it somewhat accountable for the Force of Nature, to make it different. And then the UGC deciding that that's overpowered and I can't use it all of a sudden. Then I'm pretty much screwed, because they're so different weapons. I enjoy the effective triple jumping of the Force of Nature, and I've got used to that over time. I can't use the scattergun anymore. I used to be good with it, but I just simply can't use it anymore. And over time, Valve has let this overpoweredness of certain weapons get out of hand somewhat, because now the UGC is starting the United Gaming Clan. That stands for, if you don't know what it stands for, it's the people that do all the competitive stuff for TF2. That's mainly where you do competitive. There's some other places, but none of them are quite as big as UGC, and that's the most well known, so that's why I'm using it as a example. But they produce a whitelist, a ban of certain weapons that you can't use, and if you like one of them weapons that you can't use, you just can't play it in the competitive. They're banned. You'll be banned if you try to use it. And this is bad because people tried making them, they tried making them good. It's probably because they're massively overpowered, and it is because they're massively overpowered, so they just don't allow them to use it. And this is a shame, because we all like using certain weapons, and if one of them certain weapons happens to be the weapon that you like using, and it isn't, and it's on the whitelist and you can't use it for UGC, you're just stuck on pubs. And this brings me on to my next topic. And this next topic is going to be pubs, because in pubs they are so much more drastically different to competitive. Because Valve, I do believe that they think we play it as they imagined. Competitive is, I believe, what they imagined TF2 will be played as, you know, as a game where that's class-based and everybody works together, but nobody works together in pubs. You can think they do, but all you see is NGs hammering away 24/7 on their sentries, while the first point hasn't even been capped and they're at last, and that's what you see on pubs. Whereas what you see in competitive is an NG building on first with the best possible sentry spot, making use of all of his weapons, everybody standing around him to make sure that the most powerful thing stays alive for the longest, so then they don't give up that point, and there's lots of teamwork involved in that, and that's very good. And for any higher level play other than pubs, the competitive update is some sort of dream, if it works. That's going to bring me on to my next topic, is does it work? Will it work? And I hope it does. Because right now, rc.tf2 Centre is a place to go that, strange enough, Muso did destroy for about 2 weeks through saying everybody should play competitive and then giving them the address to that. But I'm not going to get into that. That might be a different day, but definitely not today. Anyway, getting back on track here, all I'm saying is that it's going to be good. If they balance weapons, it'll be for the better, as long as they know what they're doing for the weapons, because I highly doubt that Valve plays as much TF2 as other people do, and know as much about their game as other people do. I highly doubt it, and I'm going to finish up here, and before we finish, I'm going to say 2 things, is that expect the update to be just some hat, because then if it's not a hat, then that's amazing, it's something good. And if it is a hat, that's what you're expecting. So there's no downside to that. Because, let's be honest, it very well could be a hat. And I'm going to leave you with a question. What do you want from the update? And what's your most feared loadout? What's your loadout that you go into a server, you see it, and you just instantly disconnect? You go, I'm not even going to bother fighting that because I know I'm just going to lose. What is that loadout? Tell me in the comments below, and see you later, everyone.